Man, I love that intro. Great job by Lil Yumper doing that intro. Gets me going in the mood every time with the jams and the vibes there. Welcome to the Grateful Ducks Tailgate. I'm your host, Brewhan Luke. Today is Friday, October 11th. And on today's episode, we are previewing week 7. We've got a lot to talk about in week 7, a lot of big games. Obviously, we've got the Ducks preview against Ohio State that we will get to at the end of this episode. But before we get to that, we will break down some of the other games in the Big Ten that are some key games for this weekend. And then we'll get to some other big matchups that are some top 25 matchups to break down. We'll try to do it all for you within 30, 40 minutes, like we like to do, to try to keep it short and to the point. I know there's a lot of other podcasts out there that like to go into depth and into detail, but try to keep this short and sweet on these tailgate episodes so that you can get on with your day and you get all that key info that you need. We will get to that Ducks preview at the end, I have some thoughts. Okay. But for now, let's get to it with the Big Ten preview. So starting out, Washington, after the big win at home against Michigan, travels to Iowa. So now a Big Ten matchup in Iowa City on Saturday. Washington is looking better and better every week. Will Rogers in this offense run by Jed Fish seems to be starting to figure things out. The defense still is kind of questionable. I don't know that they've really played too many defenses other than the Michigan game, which they were able to figure that out. I don't think the Washington defense, though, has had too many challenges as far as facing a challenging offensive opponent yet. And Iowa has actually improved a lot on offense from previous years. They are starting to figure things out under Tim Lester, the new offensive coordinator. Things are looking better there. I think the biggest thing to key in on for this game is essentially the winner stays in the hunt for the Big Ten championship race. You know, they both have one loss in the Big Ten so far. Iowa lost to Ohio State last week. So Iowa is coming off a loss, and Washington, traveling all the way from Seattle after coming off the big win against Michigan, travels to Iowa. This line has been anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5. I think that's the correct line to have Iowa favored by. The point total is a little high for an Iowa game, 45-46. That tells me it's going to be a high-scoring game in terms of Iowa football. I expect this to be an Iowa win and an Iowa cover, but it's going to be close the whole way. This will come down to the fourth quarter, and you will see more signs of Washington improving and becoming a little bit of a league menace as they get better each week in regards to the Big Ten. They're not on a level of a Ohio State, an Oregon, a Penn State quite yet, but you will notice, I think, week by week that they are very competitive within the Big Ten as the season progresses, and that will show this weekend. But if you're going to take a pick this weekend, Iowa minus 3.5. If you can get it at 3 or 2.5, that's an even better number. This will come down to the fourth quarter. If you want to take some first half unders on this game as well, that might not be a bad play. Washington might be a little sluggish starting out after the big win against Michigan, coming off a huge win at home last Saturday night. But yeah, Iowa will win this game. Iowa, I think, stays in that Big Ten championship race with just one loss in conference play, and Washington will need to refocus and look to become bowl eligible moving forward from here for the rest of their season and maybe continue to be a league menace. Next game we're going to talk about here. Penn State at USC. So Penn State still undefeated. USC has shown that they are struggling a little bit in the Big Ten with the loss at Michigan and then the loss at Minnesota last week. So they've logged a lot of miles with these conference road losses going out from LA to the Midwest for 2 games. Now, the roles are reversed. Now Penn State has to have a cross-country flight all the way from State College to LA. Here's a stat in regards to the new Big Ten and these new conference alignments so far this year. This is a stat that you're going to want to know, and we will revisit this stat later in the episode. So teams that travel across 2 or more time zones. I don't know if you count the mountain time. Does mountain time count as a time zone? It only affects like one state. It's like a fake time zone. I don't know about mountain time. Let's not count mountain time. So if you travel from over 2 time zones, teams that have traveled over 2 time zones are 1-8, 1-7, or 1-8 straight up this year. Penn State falls into that category this year. On the road, the last time I looked, the line was around 5. Let's take a look at this line really quick while we're here. So that would be Penn State at USC. Penn State is now they're a 3.5 point road favorite at USC. USC still has the tools on offense. You know, Penn State always has a tough defense. It's a matter of how much has USC's defense really improved. I think early on in the year, we really thought that D'Anton Lynn came in and fixed a lot of the key pieces to this defense. But now they've showed they've struggled to stop the run. How will they change that when you have a two-headed monster from Penn State with Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen? Because I'm not sold on 15 here on the left part of your screen on this graphic, Drew Aller. He's just looking like he's doing just enough, which is fine as a quarterback, but the better quarterback of the two in this game is Miller Moss. And Penn State definitely needs to be careful in this situation with all the factors being considered, going to the Coliseum, traveling over two time zones, playing a late night. No, it's a 2:30 kickoff, so that would be 4:30 there. So that would not be as big of an impact, but yeah, your body adjusting over those 2 time zones to travel. Penn State's definitely the better team in this situation, but the fact that this line is only 3.5 tells me that this game is going to be close throughout. I would lean towards taking USC plus 3.5 in this situation at home. This is going to be the toughest test yet for Penn State to see, are they for real? Like, are they going to blow USC out on the road, traveling over 2 time zones and break that trend? Is the USC that we were thinking from after the win against LSU and how good they looked early in the year before that Michigan game? Are they going to reappear? There's a lot of questions to be answered here. What's Andy Kotelnicki going to do against D'Anton Lynn's defense here? So the matchup of the coordinators, new first-year offensive coordinator for Penn State, Andy Kotelnicki, and first-year defensive coordinator for USC. How are things going to play out over there? That there is plenty of questions in regards to that. I kind of think USC could pull it off and get the win. Penn State needs to be careful here. This could be a good spot for some of you if you want to make a play to maybe do a money line sprinkle on USC. This appears to be very much a trap game for Penn State. Next, we're moving out of the Big Ten. We will come back to the Big Ten at the end of this episode, as previously discussed. We are going on to the Red River Showdown, Red River Rivalry, whatever you want to call it, at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas for the Texas State Fair. Texas, Oklahoma, one of the biggest, oldest rivalries in sports. Usually this game is a shootout and points are just scored at a un, unbelievable pace. Um, I just don't think that that's what's going to happen this year for this showdown. Oklahoma is down bad. They had to make the change at quarterback to Jackson Arnold to a true freshman earlier this year. Who knows if we'll ever see Jackson Arnold the rest of the season? Maybe they sit him out and let him try to recalibrate for next year and battle for the quarterback position. Um, Oklahoma has a handful of starters that they've already announced out on offense at the skill positions. Two of their leading receivers, I believe, is starting running back. Somebody on the offensive line also, I believe, is out. Doesn't bode well for Texas or for Oklahoma, excuse me. The line has been Texas 14 and a half. Again, that I don't know if I would touch that line with this kind of a matchup, but with the amount of key pieces out for Oklahoma, you might want to look at Oklahoma's team total under, which could be somewhere around 16 or 17 points, last I was seeing. Uh, these games are usually close. Oklahoma has still a very good defense, but this is by far the best offense and the best team they will be facing all season. Number one team in the country, Texas. They will want to blow the doors off of Oklahoma, and I don't think they will want to let up in this big of a rivalry game. If they have a big lead and Quinn Ewers is back healthy, he is announced as the starter for this game. If they have a big lead in the third quarter, you might go and see Arch Manning come in, and then they would show no mercy and run up the score if it's that big of a blowout. I would not key the Texas team total. I maybe would lean towards Oklahoma team total as an underplay here. Typically, I would say hammer the over. There's usually 60 plus, 70 plus points in this game that are scored every year. I just don't think that will be the case this year. The total has been hovering around 49 and 50. That is absurdly low for this game as well. But the biggest thing, the biggest storyline here for as far as Texas goes is Quinn Ewers is back. Let's see how healthy he looks and how he is doing. And if they get a big lead, they're going to go back to Arch Manning. So between Oklahoma having so many key players, key starters out on offense, the defense is going to need to find a way to stop this Texas offense, which nobody's stopped this Texas offense this year. So we'll see what Coach Venables has lined up for this game. Next up, boy, am I excited for this game. LSU at night taking on Ole Miss. Ole Miss has to go to this atmosphere right here on your screen. So if you haven't heard, LSU at night might be the most challenging place to play in all of college football. Death Valley, as they call it. Going into the eye of the storm right there with the Tigers. Ole Miss has been here. Lane Kiffin's been here. They've played here at night. They have not won here at night. Nobody wins here at night other than LSU. Ole Miss is favored in this game. Last I saw, it was Ole Miss minus 3.5 as a road favorite. Brian Kelly has not lost at home at LSU at night. So Brian Kelly is 12-0 at night at home in this game. Also, in this matchup, in this series, the key thing, I talked about this in the SEC preview in the beginning of the year. The home team, this is an important stat for those of you that are looking at betting lines. The home team in this matchup between Ole Miss and LSU, the home team, LSU's the home team here. The home team is 10-2 straight up in their last 12 matchups. And you factor that into play along with playing at LSU at night. Like, since it's something absurd. Like the last 120 or 130 games that have been played at LSU at night, LSU has won, I think, 108 of those games. The total in this game is 62, 63 points, somewhere along those lines. Normally, in previous years, I would say hammer the over. Ole Miss defense, LSU defense. It's just going to be a track meet up and down the field. I'm not sure that that will be the case this year. Ole Miss's defense has vastly improved. Okay, you saw the improvements last week in their game against South Carolina, especially. LSU still under first year under new defensive coordinator Brett Baker, whatever how the fuck you say his name. He's a good defensive coordinator, but he's still keying in on some pieces there. I do like both of these offenses a lot. I really do. 63 is a high number. Um, the play I would make in this would be LSU and the points. LSU plus 3.5. You're getting the 3.5 points from LSU at home at night. Money line play here would also be a very safe play if you're looking at that based off the numbers and the trends. Ole Miss, I think, is the better team, but you're coming in here at night to take on an LSU team that still has a chance to make it into the SEC championship game. They're still in the mix there, and Ole Miss is for sure still in the mix. I just don't know how or what Lane Kiffin can draw up here to pull off the win. It's going to be tough. It would be mad props to Ole Miss and LSU to Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin if they could pull it off. I'm excited for this game. I will probably not be watching a lot of this game because it will be on at the same time as number 2 versus number 3. Um, Speaking of tough home atmospheres. And then a late night game to tune into. Um, Kansas State at Colorado. Kansas State, again, ranked about 18th, 19th in the country last I saw. They had a tough loss at BYU, but that's looking like a good loss so far with BYU being undefeated up to this point in the season. They also struggled on the road earlier in the season at Tulane. They won that game. I believe it went to overtime or it was close to being in overtime there. So the Kansas State road struggles are real. They know this. They are probably trying to prepare accordingly to make those adjustments to a road setting and a road atmosphere. I just don't know if Avery Johnson going up against Colorado is going to lead to success on the road. Colorado's defense has vastly improved throughout the season. They get Shiloh Sanders back, who's been out injured, but sometimes Shiloh Sanders could be a liability on defense the way he plays. So I feel like they have played significantly better without Shiloh Sanders on the defensive side of the ball. And then you also have the best player in the entire country who should win the Heisman Trophy, Travis Hunter, playing offense and defense. I'm curious to see how Kansas State prepares for a Travis Hunter. And Avery Johnson, very good mobile quarterback, has not shown his arm strength to this point in the season. Shedeur Sanders might be the better quarterback of the two, and he gets Kansas State at home. I think Colorado in the points, it was ranging anywhere again from plus 5.5 to plus 3.5. This could be a good money line sprinkle. I would also, though, go and look at some future play and some value here. If you like Colorado to win, the value on Travis Hunter to win the Heisman is gone. Okay, I tweeted that. I talked about that 2 weeks ago. I got that at plus 1,200 2 weeks ago for Travis Hunter to win the Heisman. That value is kind of depleted now. It's at like plus 300, plus 350. But if you're going to make a future play on this and you like Kansas State to win this game, and you like Colorado to win this game, go look at the Big 12 futures and look at Colorado to win the Big 12 championship at plus 1,000 or plus 900, wherever you can find the best odds. If you like Colorado to win this game, their schedule is fairly favorable from here on out for the Big 12. All they got to do is get to the Big 12 championship game. And if you like Colorado to win this game, I don't see why you would not like them to win the Big 12 championship, because Kansas State is a Big 12 title game contender. And there's more value in a future play that bet Colorado right now to win the Big 12 championship than there is to bet them to win this game. So if you're looking at that, Colorado is probably plus 130, plus 140 to win this game. Maybe take a look at their value on winning the Big 12, which I would highly recommend. Okay. And now we move on. Here we go. The game of the week, the game of the year to this point. Number 2, Ohio State travels to Autzen Stadium, Eugene, Oregon. Number 3, Oregon Ducks. College game day is there. Josh Pate is in the house. He's already in Eugene. He arrived, I don't know when, some point yesterday. He tweeted today he is back in Eugene. All the heavy hitters are in town. They announced Caitlin Olsen from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, who's an Oregon Ducks alumni, will be the guest picker. There's one, I believe the last time college game day was at Eugene, where Sabrina, the Oregon college basketball GOAT, was in the house being the guest picker. Oh, there's a lot to talk about in this game. Again, we're going back to that traveling over 2 time zone rule for Ohio State, traveling 2 time zones to Eugene. Teams are 1-7 or 1-8 against the, or 1-8 straight up this year when traveling over 2 time zones. This is also Ohio State's first road game of either. They have not traveled out of the state of Ohio and had a true road test. Now they go into a atmosphere that is the loudest in college football. Then Ohio State will say, yeah, when we play in front of 100,000 fans, there's no way 60,000 fans could be louder than 100,000 at Ohio State or at Michigan. I don't want to hear it. Yeah, wait until you hear this crowd. During the fourth quarter, during shout, when this stadium has a record set for attendance, the press box will be shaking. Like, it's been known already in previous games that the press box shakes when people do shout. It's yeah, it's an Ohio State voice. Yeah, 60,000 fans. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, like, shut up. Like, you have no idea. You've never been here. It's going to be a blackout stadium, dark. And before we get into any of that, let's talk about the blackout atmosphere. We got to go, and I need to take a break from that voice and that thought about how you can't process the fact that the stadium is going to be so loud. Your offensive coordinator was a head coach here, and he was a head coach at UCLA. He knows how loud it is. He's told your players to be ready for how loud it's going to be, and these fans can't get it through their brain that a 60,000 seated venue can be that loud. The design of the stadium is built to be loud. It'll sound like 100,000 or more, you morons. Okay, let me find, where is it? Okay, let's grade out these uniforms this week for the Ducks. Speaking of a blackout, first time wearing the all black this year. The cleats, I believe, are a light blackish gray. Pants are just plain old black, nothing there. Gloves, nothing exciting. The black helmet with the silver duck wings. Then you got the black unis with the gray or white numbers or silver numbers, whatever color you want to call it. Then you've got the green print for the name and the green outline there. First time the Ducks are wearing these uniforms this year. I love them. This this is going to be look good, feel good, play fast. All those key things with these uniforms. And then Ohio State, ho-hum, will show up in their traditional whatever, who cares uniforms. I dare them to wear all white. I dare them to wear all white with their stupid scarlet helmet. And just be ready. Okay, this is, I would grade this uniform. I'm going to go with a 8.9 out of 10. Maybe they could have done a little bit more flair on the gloves and the cleats, but I do enjoy and appreciate that they didn't overdo it as well. Outstanding uniforms. That's right. That's right, Gabriel. Tell them. There it is. We know it. We all know it. They're the villain. And Gabriel gives that a 100 out of 100. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Outstanding uniforms. This crowd's going to be loud. Some key things to look at here. Uh, I don't think people are really appreciating or understanding how good this Oregon team is. I I don't think a lot of people have actually watched them play this season. They've looked at the scores and said, "Oh man, they had a hard time with Idaho," and "Oh man, they barely beat Boise State." Well, guess what? Boise State is now the number 17 ranked team in the country, and no other team the best win out of all the ranked teams in college football right now. Who has the best win? Oregon against number 17 ranked Boise State with Heisman contender Ashton Genty, who has been running all over every team. It wasn't like, oh man, Oregon's defensive line and their safeties are having a hard time with this Ashton Genty feller. No, he's a Heisman Trophy favorite right now. He does that to every single team, and Oregon gave up a few big runs there. This defensive line, you could argue, is the best in the country. So I think the strength and one of the biggest keys for this Oregon game is that D line to stop the run. Ohio State has a two-headed monster with Travion Henderson and Quinshawn Judkins. I think we're going to see a little bit more of Will Howard on the run at quarterback as well with some designed runs. If they could stop that run game, and yeah, they have Emeka Egbuka and Jeremiah Smith as a true freshman there on each side. But if they could stop this run game and force Will Howard to throw it downfield, I have full confidence in Oregon's linebackers and their safeties and corners that they will be able to hang with the two receivers there as long as they could get pressure to the backfield. And I have a lot of confidence in this defensive line that they're going to find a way to get pressure to the backfield. Ohio State's offensive line is very good. I just think that the way that Oregon's defensive line is trending and getting better and better each week, that's going to be the difference in this game. Let's flip to the other side of the ball. Oregon's offense versus Ohio State's defense. Ohio State has players all over the field here. Early on in the year, Oregon's offensive line really struggled. They made some changes. They're still not fully healthy, but despite that, they made some adjustments on the offensive line and shifted people at positions. Pancho Ialulu moving from right guard to center has been a huge key to this. Uh, Jordan James, I really hope Jordan James and Oregon runs the shit out of the ball. Just run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Test Ohio State's defensive line. You don't have to get too fancy with the passing game. Just keep establishing the run and stick it to former running backs coach from Oregon, Carlos Lachlan, who left to become the running backs coach at Ohio State in the middle of the summer. We talked about that storyline earlier in the week, so we won't go back into details on that. But run the shit out of the ball. You've got Jordan James who can run at will against anybody. He looked like Marshawn Lynch last week against Michigan State. Trust in your run game. Don't make Dylan Gabriel do too much. You have Noah Whittington and Jaden Lamar you could feature in the backfield. Maybe some designed runs for Dylan Gabriel as well to throw Ohio State off. You're going to see a lot of things from both teams that they haven't shown yet, and maybe they're now going to open up their playbook a lot more than what we've seen up until this point in the season. I don't have a play or a bet for a line on this game, specifically as far as who's going to win or lose. I think this game, if you want to have a little fun and have a fun little bet here, okay, you could get this game to go to overtime for plus 1,200. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Oregon, Ohio State to go to overtime plus 1,200. I kind of like that bet. I think it's a very realistic bet that could happen because that's the kind of game that I think you're going to see. The under, if I'm going to bet a total, I would suggest taking the under at 52.5, 53.5. the best personnel on the field, I think, is Oregon's defense out of the four key spots. I think the best personnel on the field is Oregon's defense, not their offense, not Ohio State's defense, not Ohio State's offense. The best personnel is Oregon's defense. And you add in the fact that I think you're going to see a lot of ground game attack from Oregon and also from Ohio State. Just a lot of time to kill off the clock to try to keep the other team's offense off of the field throughout that. Another key, Dylan Gabriel just has to play smarter. Get the ball out of his hands if they're doing something with the passing design, you know, get the ball out quick. If the first receiver's not there, you don't like what you see, just throw it away. Don't let Ohio State's front seven, don't let Ohio State's defensive line get pressure on you. Get the ball out quick. He's been struggling with getting the ball out quick. Be a little bit smarter in the red zone last 2 weeks. I think he's learned from his mistakes the last 2 weeks. He will not try to force those throws this weekend. I really don't see it. I think he was taking risks against some very inferior opponents in UCLA and Michigan State, where he was trying to take those risks. I don't see him taking those risks this weekend. If I am going to make a different play other than that overtime play, some anytime touchdown scores for Oregon that have some value. I want to get you the most updated odds here, okay, on this. So you could get Oregon. I know the two that I think have the best value, okay, for anytime touchdown scores. So you have, where is it? Okay, let me click on that. Okay. So obviously, I mean, everybody's going to be keying in on the big heavy hitters. Jordan James, Jeremiah Smith, Quinshon Judkins, Emeka Egbukwa. Those are all, at minus 105 or higher. But if you scroll down the list a little bit more, Tez Johnson somehow is at plus 110. I mean, that's good value there, but you want to scroll down a little bit more. I do think that you could see a little bit more Evan Stewart in this game, but his value is only at plus 170. I think Ohio State's going to key in on Tez Johnson a lot and also on Evan Stewart, who we haven't really seen too much of other than, what game was it earlier? The Boise State game, I believe he had a very good game where the deep ball and him and Dylan had a good connection there. But if you want to look at some value here, and these numbers have moved, Trayshawn Holden was plus 200 as of 2 days ago. He's down to plus 160. But the biggest mover, this was at plus 330 earlier in the week, and now it's down to plus 235. Give me Terrence Ferguson, tight end for Oregon, anytime touchdown. So I think Ohio State's going to key in on those three receivers. Trayshawn Holden has touchdowns in 3 of Oregon's 5 games this year. He's a very popular red zone target for Dylan Gabriel. But there is a connection with Terrence Ferguson and Dylan Gabriel last week where they really started to show a little bit more. I think you're going to start to see more Terrence Ferguson drives and some more looks towards T. Fergs throughout this game. So I think a Terrence Ferguson anytime touchdown score is great value at plus 235. I'm going to play that one. Give me Terrence Ferguson plus 235 anytime touchdown. That's going to be my pick there. The under, like I said, is a good play. You want to have some fun with this game and bet a fun line. Go plus 1,200 for this game to go to overtime. There's been at least one overtime game per week so far in college football. I believe week 3 gave us 5 overtime games. So there's going to be an overtime game this week. I don't know which one it is, but if you have number 2 versus number 3 and a close line there, I would love to see that one hit. Just some other random notes, Ryan Day has a hard time winning a big game. You've seen him struggle against Michigan. Coach Lanning, last 2 years, hasn't had his way with Washington. That being said, one of these two teams is going to have one conference loss at the end of the day. I also think at the end of the day, with the way the outcome of this game will happen, that this will not decide their fate in the Big Ten. It will not decide their fate in whether or not these teams make the playoff. Love to see this loud, raucous, blackout crowd get that win in Autzen Stadium against Ohio State. I'm not sure if it will happen or not. Ohio State is getting first place votes for a reason. They they deserve them. Okay. But I also think this will not be the only time these two teams play this year. I think we might see a rematch in the Big Ten championship game. And if we don't see a rematch in the Big Ten championship game, they might face each other in the college football playoff. These are both teams that should make the college football playoff. And this might be like a little bit of an NFL preview where, like, you might face a team 3 times in one season. This could be game 1. Then this could be in game 2. You get a Big Ten championship game rematch. And then you might see a college football playoff rematch for the 3rd time between these two teams. I am stoked for this game. I am really excited for the entire college football slate this weekend. There is so much action going on this weekend. If you're at a wedding this weekend, because this is a big holiday weekend, and a lot of weddings are happening, I really hope that your wedding is Friday night or Sunday night and not Saturday night. That the wedding you have to attend, because that sucks. College missing a wedding or missing college football because you have to go to a wedding sucks. It sucks, especially this weekend. There's so many good games this weekend. Man, bring your phone, go to the bathroom 25 times, or go step in the hallway and like pick up a habit of being a sudden fake chain smoker or something, like, or just maybe you're sick. Maybe you can't go to the wedding because you're sick. I don't know. Like, or maybe there's going to suddenly be TV set up at the wedding venue or at the reception hall. Man, this is going to be a blast. I cannot wait for this game this weekend. I cannot wait for the entire slate. The weather's going to be beautiful across the entire country. Just get into the action. Enjoy. We'll be live tweeting this from throughout the game. And last but not least, again, we have to do another plug for Penguin Voorhees. So if you need something to dress up for Halloween, not everybody likes to dress up in a costume, but get a shirt, get a hoodie. I'm going to end, as always, well, as lately I have been, with the promo for the Penguin Voorhees sweatshirt and hoodie, where you can buy it. Go buy a shirt, go buy a hoodie. And last but not least, more than ever this week, well, not more than ever, as always, Sko Ducks, fuck Ohio State. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the At the Show podcast, a Sadistic Penguin Studios production.